Welcome back everyone to Scary Story Saturday. If you're new to the channel, my name is Joe. I tell personal individual encounters every Saturday. Today's story is going to be about Jasmine. So before we begin, if it's daytime, I recommend going to a dark room with a friend or alone if you dare. And if it's night, the mood's set, let's begin. The lights out. So Jasmine's story begins when she was around 9 years old. She had a fun day at Disneyland that day, and she was making her way back to her house. And the way they had to travel was they had to cross a bridge. And a little bit of a backstory, Jasmine grew up in California, and the city she grew up in was in Pasadena. And if that doesn't give you enough clues, the bridge she had to cross was the Colorado State Bridge, also known for the Suicide Bridge. So throughout the time the bridge was constructed, there's numerous upon numerous suicides that had taken place at the bridge. And throughout time, they began to put barricades and made the fencing around the bridge higher to prevent any more suicides from happening. As time went on, the bridge became more prominent for the suicides. It got to a certain point that the city of Pasadena decided to discontinue keeping track of the victims that had been jumping off the bridge. The rumor has it that over 100 to 150 people have lost their lives there. But if you look through the public records, you'll find a lot less than 60 to 40 people have been reported to have perished by jumping off of the bridge. As time has worn on, the city of Pasadena has made adjustments to build fencing along the sides of the bridge to prevent any more victims. But once in a while, the people that do drive through there see something from out of this world, either being a person or apparition of someone jumping off the bridge, even with the barricades and the fences being in place. And as for Jasmine, she might have just saw one of these apparitions' last wishes. So as Jasmine was coming back from Disneyland, they hit the entrance of the Colorado State Bridge. She decided to look towards her left outside the window, and she began to see an apparition of a gentleman, a man. And the weird thing about it was, she said the man was, unlike anything else she was witnessing or looking out the window, the man was moving along with the vehicle. Everything else was still and would just flash through her eyes. With this guy was side by side. The only thing she really could make out was his shirt, a flannel shirt, reddish, she claims. And as they continue to drive, she begins to get more curious, and she begins to pay attention to this individual. And she looks harder and harder. She realizes that there's no possible way that an actual human being could be side by side with a vehicle that's going 50 miles an hour. And at that point, she realized it was a ghost. The apparition stopped in its tracks. As she turned to the back window, there was nothing there. Her confused look got the attention of her aunt, and her aunt asked her, "What's going on?" And Jasmine just replied, "There was someone next to the window." The aunt, being confused, started looking in her mirrors to see if she could see anyone trying to climb onto the car or trying to anything like that, any person she might have hit or anything like that. And as she continued to drive, she explained that the bridge that they were on was called a suicide bridge, and that multiple people had jumped off it. And maybe the ghost that Jasmine saw on the road was one of those people, one of those unexpected victims that jumped to their death. So as time progressed, they end up exiting the suicide bridge, and years later, as Jasmine told me this story, the surprisement and the speechless in her tone of voice is what makes this story so believable. And if any of you have experienced a similar situation at the suicide bridge, I would love to hear it.
So that's going to conclude this week's story. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you guys ever had any encounters like this before, leave a comment below. Embrace your experience. I'll see you next Saturday.